Mannion was brought in to help turn around the Eagles' offense. What should our expectations be for year one with him at the helm? Plus, the Eagles have racked up wins in the Nick Sirianni era. See why the schedule should help them continue that success in 2026. And we make an early projection on the Eagles' 53-man roster, which late-round rookies are going to make the cut. With that, we welcome you here to Birds Huddle, presented proudly by Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, alongside the birthday boy, Cinco de Mayo, Bear Brooks.
Appreciate it.
Happy birthday. And Dave Zangaro, it's his birthday later, but we will wish him happy birthday at the time. That makes me Amy Fiddle, and I don't have a birthday anytime soon either. But there was a couple of playoff losses, tough ones last night here in Philadelphia. We're here to talk a little Birds, right? Got to talk Eagles. A little positivity, gentlemen, because we need it after last night with the Flyers and, of course, the Sixers.
Well, I mean, you know, they battled through. They won their first series. Now it's going to the second one. They'll eventually catch up. You know, they're down to the, you know, if you look at it, hockey, they're down 2. The Flyers are down 2. And then, the 76ers just got roasted. But it won't be that way. They come back.
Just one game. Just one game.
Yeah, right now in the NFL, all 32 teams are pretty excited. It's nice right now.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
No games yet for a while, so you get to just enjoy what you put on paper.
Yeah, exactly. We'll find out that schedule coming up. We'll talk about that. It brings us to our three-point stance presented by Toyota. Stance number 1, there is a lot of optimism around Shawn Mannion and his offense. Late last week, Nick Sirianni was asked about what he's seen from his new OC.
You do your homework, you go through the process, and then you get to see these things before even the players get in here, right, with the way they present in front of the coaching staff and with me. Yeah, I think he's just got a good confidence, calm confidence, conviction about the way he goes about it, very detailed. And it's been fun. It's been fun sitting in the back of the room, listening to him talk, listening to him install, and building the connection with the guys. And he's done a good job so far. And just got to keep stacking days upon days.
All right, Dave. Expectations for Mannion this year?
Yeah, it's one of the more fascinating storylines around the Eagles this year because he's brought in to kind of be a savior in a way. The offense got really stale last year. We all saw it. It wasn't that they were awful, but they clearly didn't play up to the level you'd expect with all the talent on the roster. So it's his job to come in here and bring some freshness, bring some newness to the offense. And I think there is going to be a little bit of blending here. It's not like they're going to completely throw away everything they've done, but so many of the things we've seen the Eagles do in recent years, I think, will be different under Shawn Mannion. One of the things they realized when they started going through this process was they wanted someone with that style of offense, someone who came from the Shanahan, McVay tree, and they got them in Shawn Mannion. And we'll see, because he's a first-time offensive coordinator, first-time play caller, and that part is a little scary because you just don't know until he actually starts calling plays on game day. But I can tell you, so far, so good. People are excited about him.
Bear, they've been in this position before, going from Brian Johnson to Kellen Moore. We're making the whole shift, and there's a lot of eggs in Shawn Mannion's basket.
Absolutely. You know, but you look at the difference is you're going from a totally different offensive scheme, a totally different mindset, a totally different thought on how to approach this game when you're going into an offense like he's about to run. Like I said, I played in an offense before, and it's a lot different than what you have here. A lot more zone, a lot more multiple tight ends, a lot more movement. And, you know, Jalen has to play with his back to the defense. So those are all things you have to incorporate in this offense. And it's stuff that they just haven't been doing, you know, especially the motions, the play action, the way they do it. So this is going to be totally different. And the offense and the people are in the offense, it's got to be customized a little bit. You know, like these are big offensive linemen. When you go with the system like they're trying to go into, the zone concepts and running zone plays, that offensive line are usually smaller guys that, you know, displace guys. They're going to have to learn how to do that, you know, so those are things that they're probably working on now, just displacing guys rather than driving guys off the ball. They still went out and drafted 2 big guys, you know. I thought they were going to go smaller, but, you know, stayed with the big mauling type of offensive lineman.
All right, well, stance number 2, the Eagles have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL, according to Sharp Football Analysis and our old pal Warren Sharp. The Eagles have the 7th easiest schedule this season, based on the over-under win projections across betting sites. So, Dave, how do you feel about their place on this list? 7th easiest.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, especially because it is a first-place schedule. And this is important. There's an important distinction between the old school strength of schedule,
right,
which is just last year's results. This is a better way to do it. This projects into this year, still imperfect. We know that things happen that are crazy, teams come out of nowhere and all that, but this is a better way to do it. Not only are they that easy, but you look at the rest of the teams in the division. The Eagles are 7th easiest. The Giants are 24th. Washington is 25th. The Cowboys are 29th.
29th.
So not only is it an easy schedule, but way easier compared to the rest of the division.
Yeah, I think that's big.
It's huge, and you look at the games that they have at home. They got the Rams at home, Seahawks at home, Steelers at home, Texans and the Colts. They have a lot of great home games in which they'll be able to, have the crowd there and help them. I think the toughest away games are the 49ers, Bears, and the Jaguars. So, I think this bodes well for the Eagles, and it's about time we got a little relief. These last 3 or 4 years, we've been playing tough schedules because we've had so much success. It's about time they threw us a bone because it's been a long time coming since we had a schedule easy enough for us to go through. And when I say easy, not,
Easier.
We all know. Yeah.
Right.
It's
Any given
easier.
Sunday, but it's easier, like you said, yeah.
The crazy thing is, so the Eagles have a first-place schedule, technically. But let me ask you which team you'd rather play here, right? So the Eagles have the Panthers, the Cowboys with the second place have the Bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
Panthers.
you look at the Bears or the Packers. The Eagles have the Bears.
Yeah.
Right.
Cowboys have the Packers.
Out.
And then the Eagles have the Steelers. The Cowboys have the Ravens. So
Right.
that's technically 3 first-place teams on the schedule, and you feel way better about playing them than the second-place teams the Cowboys have to play.
Out.
Yeah, much better to have the Seahawks home than
Yes.
Seahawks
The
away.
world champions home.
That's
The
a big
Rams, who
difference.
should have been
Yeah.
world champions, we have them at home. So we love to play them at home.
No, that's good stuff right there. Stance number 3, the Eagles are well prepared for life without A.J. Brown. They've added in just about every way imaginable this offseason. They signed Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore. They traded for Dontavian Wicks and used a first-round pick on Mekhi Lemon. So, Barrett, how much of a drop-off is it from no A.J. Brown to all those guys?
Well, of course, you're a top 5 receiver. You're going to miss that guy, of course, in the offense. But it doesn't make any sense to have him there and he doesn't want to be there. I think I'm finally convinced now that he's gone. But, you look at it. I love the fact that they went out and they, replenished the troops. They've got guys out there that can play. It's up to them going in, getting the offense, running the offense effectively, and those guys, stepping up. We know Devontae is going to be fine at being a number 1 receiver. Who's going to step up and be number 2? I'm thinking Dallas Goedert, but, it's
right.
You're going to have to pick somebody who's going to be that second guy. Lemon, being a first rounder, he's going to have to, carry a boatload of the offense on his own shoulders. So I'm anxious to see how he reacts to it and, how the, Star Wars work reacts to it also.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the first conversation we had about Shawn Mannion. That's why he's here, right?
Yeah,
it's like they've been so star-dependent in recent years, and they won a lot of games. I don't take anything away from them, but a lot of their offense before was, hey, AJ, go beat that corner. Hey, Devontae, go beat that corner.
Right.
We're going to rely on that. Now the idea here is that the scheme can help them, and you might not have to be as dependent on that wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. It's about the scheme helping those guys get open and really spreading the ball around a little bit more. And I'm curious to see how it all works because, in theory, it's a good idea. You're about to lose one of the best receivers in football. And I should also bring up, he was not that guy last year. There was a drop-off in play from him. But, now you're mixing and matching. You have a lot of different bodies in there. It's up to the coaches to get the most out of them.
All right, something else to watch for as the season is looming. Howie Roseman on hand, observing his handiwork last weekend at Eagles rookie minicamp. Eagles GM always looking to improve the roster, but the bulk of the offseason moves are likely already behind us. So with that in mind, let's get the projected list of who makes that final roster. Dave Zangaro, this is an exercise that you like to do. We love that you do it for our website, NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com. Let's go position by position and look at you have on the final 53. Let's start with the quarterbacks and running backs. And you have all 4 QBs currently on the roster, including the 5th-round pick Cole Payton. Running back, no surprises, Saquon Barkley, Tank Bigsby, Will Shipley. So how are you keeping all the QBs?
Yeah, I think it's possible. And look, if Howie Roseman gets an offer for either Kenny McKee or Andy Dalton that makes sense, I think he would trade one of them. There's no guarantee that offer comes. So I think that Howie mentioned it. He has to be willing to keep all 4. I don't think that's ideal, but you have to be willing to do that once he drafts Cole Payton.
Do you like Cole Payton?
The sky's the limit for a guy that, he's a weapon. Wouldn't necessarily, just categorize him as just a quarterback. I think he has a lot in his repertoire that he can go out there and execute, play action, run plays, like fullback run play. He can run like a fullback, So, a lot of interest from a lot of teams. They're going to see him. Hey, this is the Eagles roster. We know how to develop quarterbacks. He might be somebody, somebody wants to see.
Quarterback factory?
Yes, quarterback factory. We laughed at him, but come on now.
It's turned into that.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the receivers and the tight ends. Without A.J. Brown in the mix, it'll be Devontae Smith, Mekhi Lemon, Dontavian Wicks, Hollywood Brown, Darius Cooper, you can see on that list, and Johnny Wilson. Tight end, 4 guys, Dave. Take us through your picks.
Yeah, I think at receiver, that last spot, if they keep 6, could come down to Johnny Wilson or Britton Covey, who's kind of a return specialist. But they've gotten Covey to the practice squad in all these years. I think they'll probably be able to do that. Johnny Wilson, before getting hurt last training camp, I thought was going to be a roster lock, and then he had that terrible injury in training camp. So if he's back and healthy, I think he has a good shot at it. And then I have Cameron Latu on there, more as a fullback. Those first 2 are obviously locks. And then Johnny Mundt brings that blocking element to the tight end room. Howie Roseman has talked about wanting to have different skill sets in that tight end room, so I think Mundt fulfills that requirement.
Well, absolutely. Johnny Mundt, they're going to need him out there just for blocking purposes alone. He's the best blocker, probably a better blocker than, some of the tackles we have. So he's got to be on the roster. He's got to be somebody that's integral in the run game, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to start the run game first. But we know that Eli Stowers is going to be a guy that's going to try to be a weapon. They're going to want to stretch the field with him, work the inside of the, of the defense, and you got good old reliable Dallas Goedert. I can see it happen. But Cameron Latu is also a guy that you have to have him on the roster just because not just his intensity, but he can play fullback, but he can also go out there and play special teams. Special teams is clear that you have to play it, and I'm just looking at, can Stowers play special teams? We'll see, but I know Cameron Latu can.
All right, let's take up the offensive line. Dave, you got 10 guys, 5 starters returning, and then 5 backups. How'd you settle on the backups?
Yeah, it wasn't easy, and 10 is a lot, but those top 5 obviously locks. I think Fred Johnson, Markel Bell, Drew Kendall, pretty close to locks. So then it comes down to the last couple of spots. It's Miles Hinton, maybe against Cameron Williams, 2 day 3 offensive tackles last year. They drafted Hinton earlier. I sort of liked them more in training camp last year. We got to see them this year, but I kept Hinton over Williams. Then Micah Morris, 6th-round pick, offensive guard this year. They don't have a ton of depth on the interior of that offensive line. Drew Kendall has played some guard, at least in practice, but more of a center, so they might need a backup guard. I think that's where Morris fits in.
They need depth there.
Yeah. And Drew Kendall has to be here just to play the guard position. Markel Bell, since he's so high of a 3rd-round pick, and then Michael Morris, they see a lot in him as far as being a guy to come in and play guard. On both sides. He played both of them while he was at Georgia. So they're going to need a guy like that to come in and fill the void. We are kind of light. This is the first time we're kind of light at the both guard positions, But there's a lot of guys, with depth. Cameron Williams, he might not make the squad. Look at Willie Lumpkin.
Everybody, I love a Willie Lampkin.
Willie
Lampkin. He's a guy everybody's like, we want to see him play. He's a little guy because he's a little guy. They want to see him play, but he might, open somebody's eyes also. So
you can't keep them all.
Right. You just can't keep them all.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the defense, starting up front, of course. At edge rusher, newcomer Jonathan Grenard headlines the group. You've got Brandon Graham in there, secondly a free agent. He saw him at flag football on Friday. He looked like he was ready to go. Same 5 defensive tackles from a year ago. You expect BG to be back?
If he wants to be here, I think the Eagles should bring him back. He was good last year.
He was.
Not like bringing in a guy because he won better in leadership. He was good. He played at a really high level. Yeah. He can play inside. He can play outside. You're not asking him to be a starter. You're saying, hey, BG, come in and play 10 to 12 snaps a game. I'm on board with that. And look, it would stink to have to cut Keyshawn James Newby. They just use a draft pick on him. But if you want him here, you can probably get him in the practice squad. Right. I'm willing to do that to bring BG back.
Absolutely.
Who Bernard, not on this list, though, B.
Right. And everybody's, in awe about him and his physique and everything.
Him learning how to put a helmet on was amazing to me.
Right. So, we don't know what he can do. And do you keep him or do you keep Ty Robinson? The measurables are there for him, but I just, I haven't seen him play. I just can't wait for the first time he's got pads on and he gets double teamed by, Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson. It'll make you make a business decision. You trying to figure out, hey, is this sport for me? I've seen a lot of guys get double teamed and put on their neck and they become baseball players or basketball players. So, we'll have to see about that.
Super athletic.
And I'm not saying he
probably
can't.
play anything right now.
Yeah, he can rip trees up by the roots, but, playing football is
we
a
just
whole
have to
different
keep
thing.
the expectations tempered for a guy who's never played football. I don't think anyone's really expecting him to contribute this year.
Right, exactly. Pretty simple at linebacker for Dave's list. They lost Nakobe Dean in free agency, but have 4 guys back: Zach Vaughn, Jahad Campbell, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and Smile London. Any tough decisions there?
Yeah, actually, Chance Campbell, a guy who was on their practice squad last year, really good scout team player. He's someone that they really like in that building, so keep an eye on him. And then Deontay Lawson, undrafted rookie from Alabama. There's always a chance you can keep 5 linebackers, especially that last guy if he's a big-time special teams contributor. So one of those 2 guys has a legitimate shot to make this team.
I mean, I'm with that list, I mean, you got guys, special teams guys and guys that, come out and play,
Special teams is always how you can extra make that list. In the secondary, you have 6 corners, 4 safeties. Top 3 corners might be the best trio in the league. We know that, but there are some questions, Dave, at safety, of course.
Yeah, there definitely are. And this is a position where, you look at the whole roster, and if they're going to add anywhere, it probably is at safety. So this might not be a completed list right now, but Makuba and Epps, if they had to play a game today, would be the starters. I think Michael Carter is going to be the next backup. But then Cole Wisniewski, the rookie 7th-round pick. It's unlikely for a 7th-round pick to earn playing time, but if there's a position on this roster where you think it could happen, I think it is safety.
Yeah, and just out of necessity, he may have to be there. He's probably one of the bigger guys there. I mean, when first time I saw him, I called a game for him. He was a linebacker at North Dakota State. So to transfer to safety, he could be a guy that's in the box, as that strong safety type of guy.